There are two main aspects in the Buddhist meditation. The initial aspect of meditation is tranquilizing the mind. The final aspect is penetrating into the mind. Tranquilizing the mind is called samatha bhavana, literally meaning tranquility meditation. Penetrating into the mind is called vipassana bhavana, that is translated as insight meditation. Insight is going into the mind, looking into the mind, deep into the mind. It is by going deep into the mind one can go beyond the mind to realize the truth, the final truth, the ultimate truth called Nirvana in Buddhist literature. Nibbana in Pali, Nirvana in Sanskrit. Without the tranquility of the mind, penetration into the mind is not possible. Therefore, always in Buddhist meditation, vipassana bhavana, the insight meditation, is preceded by the tranquility meditation. Mind becomes tranquil means mind becomes calm. It becomes calm by reducing the activity of the mind. The main activity is the thinking. Thinking is the deliberate activity, while sensation by the mind is indeliberate, it's a natural act. Both sensation and thinking consume lot of mental energy. Mental energy is a universal energy. Energy is called in physics matter. Matter is energy. Therefore, mind is made of mental matter, finer than the physical matter we have. Even the mental matter, like physical matter, has a density, a thickness. The mind becomes tranquil when the density of the mental matter becomes reduced. Before reducing the mental density of the mental matter, the mind must be calmed down. Calm down means lessening or reducing the activity of the mind. The major activity, as I mentioned, is thinking. Therefore, by non-thinking, the mind becomes tranquil. It is the thinking that disturbs the mind. Thinking is based on sensation. Some sensations are pleasant, some sensations are unpleasant. We get attached to pleasant sensation and want to promote that or prolong that sensation because it is pleasant. The desire to prolong or maintain or increase that pleasantness means thinking. We think, that starts the thinking process. I like this, better if I can continue to have this. and better if I can get more and more pleasantness into my mind. Those are thoughts. Then thinking exerts the mental energy, that means uses mental energy. When the thinking stops, the energy used for thinking get preserved. There is a conservation of energy. The energy get gathered. Therefore, tranquility of the mind is gathering all mental energy. And it is called in Pali Samadhi, and in Sanskrit it is called Dhyani. It comes from Dana, collecting. And that is not using our bio-mental energy excessively. Then there is peace of mind, there is a tranquility in the mind, there is calmness in the mind, so that one can go deep into the mind. When the water in the lake is disturbed, when there are a lot of waves, commotion, one cannot see the bottom of the lake. When the water becomes very clear and calm, then one can see the bottom, beyond the water. Similarly, when the mind becomes calm when the mental defilements are removed. Mental defilements are formed by thinking, and thinking is also produced by mental defilements. They are reciprocal. Thinking helps the formation of mental defilement, and mental defilement cause the formation of thinking. Therefore, they are interrelated. For example, a desire is a mental defilement. Hatred is a mental defilement. Jealousy is a mental defilement. Fear is a mental defilement. Those feelings disturb the mind. And to calm down the mind, first we have to reduce or remove the mental defilement. That is why it is said, Satitta pariyo dapanam etam buddhana sasana. The advice of all Buddhas is to purify the mind. When the mind becomes purified, it becomes free of defilement, it becomes clear. Therefore, cleansing the mind is the first step for meditation too, in order to make it calm, quiet, peaceful and tranquil. And this has to happen little by little. When the mind becomes calm and quiet, and through tranquility meditations, the tension, the stress in the mind get reduced and sometimes get ultimately extinct. In a calm, a quiet, peaceful mind. Less tension means less density of the mental matter. The mental matter gets dense by the gravity of the self-center. The self-center is the element that says, I like this or I don't like this. I want this or I don't want this. Then start thinking. All our desires and resentment or hatred greed. They are based on the need of the self. Self is the center of the mind. And all the mental matter get attracted by the gravity of the self-center called ego, and they become thicker and thicker. When there is no greed or hatred in the mind, when it is free from greed called lobha and hatred called dvesha, the mind is tranquil. There is no pulling items, mental items, by greed. The activity of mental pulling stops when there is no lobha or desire or greed. The activity of pushing stops when there is no resentment or hatred or dislike. That is the way of purifying the mind. In trances, what happens is, the more and more the mind get purified, more and more the mind get relaxed, and when the density get reduced with some kind of expansion, it's like high pressure and low pressure. When the pressure in the mind get reduced, it turns into low pressure. Low pressure means less dense. It's like the air. The air is attracted by the gravity of the earth. And when the atmosphere is close and close to the earth, the air is tighter and tighter, denser and denser. The particles of the air are tied together. When we go further and further away from the earth, that is the earth gravity center, the air becomes less and less. That means the density of the air becomes less and less. And thinner. And there comes a level when you go higher and higher beyond the earth, there is the limit of the atmosphere. We go beyond the air into the empty space. Empty means air, space free from air. Similarly, when we go deeper and deeper into the different trances in meditation, the mind is less activated by the gravity, and the mental matter becomes thinner and thinner until the mental matter disappears and thinking and sensation completely stop. And it is beyond that level one could realize the supreme bliss or the supreme truth called Nirvana. In Buddhist meditation, this happens stage by stage. There are traditionally 4 trances called Rupavachara Dhyana. They are translated as Dhyana of forms, but there is a wrong translation. And thereafter there are 4 more trances called Arupavachara Dhyana. They are translated as formless trances. And beyond that, there is a trance founded by the Buddha and his disciples, where there is emptiness of mental matter, beyond mental matter, beyond mental formations. The form here is translation of the word rupa, but the scientific meaning in Buddhist literature, rupa means stimulation. Ruppatitiko bhikkave rupam gattiyati piliyati. When senses become in contact with sense objects, they get stimulated. When the eye gets in contact with colors and lights emanated by or radiated by colors, the eye gets stimulated. The light waves stimulate the eye. Sound waves stimulate the ear. Taste stimulates the tongue. Smells stimulate the nose. The skin gets stimulated by the touch of different objects. Those stimulations are sensed by the mind. Therefore, sensation is based on stimulation. Rupavachara dhyana is based on stimulation of the mind. And beyond that, there's a stage without stimulation, arupavachara dhyana, arupavachara trances. Therefore, it will be useful to understand, as we know the map of a place, we study the map of a place before going to a particular place. In Buddhist meditation, better we have some idea, a clear idea about the different stages of the mental development or transcendental development or development of trances as given in the Buddhist literature. In the first trance, what happens is, it is called Vivekajam Piti Sukham. Sukham means continuation of the delight, Piti means the delight. Therefore, there is a trance where one gets absorbed in the delight of the restfulness of the mind. Mind is at rest, not working. That means the mind is not thinking. How it happens? The first trance, traditionally, according to the Buddhist literature, it starts with Viviccheva kamehi. Free from kama means mental magnetism. That get attracted to certain things and that become repulsive to certain items of the sense object, items of the sense objects, items called sense objects. Free from karma means free from mental activity called attraction and repulsion that we experience as our likes and dislikes, greed or hatred. When the mind is free from greed and hatred, that happens through realization of the reality of our world, the physical world. When we experience, when we see through our own insight, whatever pleasant cannot last long, whatever unpleasant cannot last long. Therefore, the mind thinks there is no point in being greedy for the pleasant and hating the unpleasant. Let them pass like clouds. Let they come, whatever that comes in has to go out. Therefore, allow the nature to take its course. Another thing, one with maturity of wisdom realizes we can retain nothing, not even our personality. The triple nature of the nature is called anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anicca means dynamic. The entire nature and every item is dynamic, creative, moving, in a flux. Therefore, dynamic means creative means there's a change. Everything is a process of constant changing. If everything is changing, nothing can retain a permanent identity. Therefore, the wise will realize there is no point in being attached to what is pleasant and also resenting what is unpleasant, because we are leading a temporary life here. And with that maturity of wisdom, one can come to a level to take things as they are without much attachment, without much resentment. That means reduce mental activity called mental magnetism. That is Abeywickrama. That is how one starts getting absorbed in the first trance. Then Abeywickrama akusale dhamme. When we are not using our likes and dislikes, we are free from unwholesome of the mind. No hatred, no greed, no jealousy, no fear, no anger. The mind is calm and quiet. Another thing is, the mind is not pulling things. That's called lobha. Not pushing things. That is called dvesha. Pulling mentally is a process of thinking. Repairing mentally is also a process of thinking. The mind is free from the process of thinking. Only sensation is there. The mind is able to take sensations as they are, free from likes and dislikes. That is called mental magnetism. Then mind is at rest. Mind is taking a vacation. That rest, the stressful mind, the tense mind, become a relaxed mind, peaceful mind, and that brings in a lot of delight to the mind, and one gets absorbed in the delight of the mind, and the continuation of that delight, vivekajam pītasakam patamajjanam upasampadya viharati. Then what happens? Once we get attached to delight, the trance breaks down. The delight disappears. When it happens again and again, the mind learns a lesson not to be attached even to the delight of the trance. And when we get absorbed in the delight continuously, we are not interested in the sensual pleasures. Then the sense organs become inactive. The eye cannot see in the second trance. The ears cannot hear. You are absorbed in the delight of the trance. And when you go deep into the second trance, samadhidam pīcasukam, one is absorbed in the delight of the trance. In the first trance, one's sense organs are all active. They can sense the sense objects, but free from greed and hatred, with a calm mind. Then one gets absorbed in the delight of that calmness. One gets into the second trance where the sense organs are not active because they are not interested in sensual pleasures. The pleasure or the delight of the trance is more precious, more delightful than the sensual pleasures. In the first trance, Buddha says in the Puggala Sutta, if you get absorbed often and on, regularly, you have the capacity to be reborn if you are not get enlightened and realize Nibbana in this life itself. You have the capacity to go to the Brahma world. Brahma world is the world of the Creator God at the time of the Buddha, called Mahabrahma. The word Brahma in Sanskrit dictionary has a meaning called expansion. What happens in the first trance is that dense mental matter get expanded. They become thinner and thinner. And those chemicals of the mind are in parallel with the chemicals of the Brahma world. That is why one can be reborn in the Brahma world after practicing the first trance often. In the second trance, the mental become thinner and thinner because the mind is concentrating on the mental delight. The sense organs are not active, therefore there is no need of dense mental matter to sense outer objects. The mind is conserved within the mind and less tension is there, less activity is there. There is the delight, and the delight is like a light. The mind becomes in a sort of way of enlightenment, light of the mind. Delight, light of the mind. And Buddha says in the Puggala Sutta, if one cannot get enlightened in the second trance, he could be reborn in the Abhasara Brahmaloka, Abhasara Devaloka. Abhasara means radiating Deva world, radiating heaven. Their bodies are radiating. That means their matter is thinner than the matter in the Brahma world, in the Abhasara Brahma world. In the third trance, what happens is Pityacha Viraga. Because there is experience in the second trance, if you get attached to this delight of the trance, it disappears. When it happens over and over again, the mind gets a training, a learning, not to be attached to the delight of the mind, and that is why it is experienced as Pityacha Viraga, detached, not attached to the delight of the trance. The mind is upekko, satimasuka vihari. Mind is blissful in a state of equanimity, neither attracted nor repulsive towards anything, not attracted to the mental delight, not repulsive to the loss of the mental delight when there's a breakdown of the trance. Then thereafter one comes to the fourth trance, upekka sati parisuddha, that equanimity, the balanced mind, the balance between the extremes of attachment and resentment is equanimous. It's a neutral stage. The neutral energy of the mind is purified, perfectly purified. It is at this fourth trance one can get enlightened according to the Buddhist literature. When one mind is in that neutral stage, the mind is perfectly calm and quiet, no disturbances, less dense. And equanimous means there is no stimulation. The mind doesn't got stimulated even by the delight of the trance. Then comes the next stage, the trances free from mental stimulation. After the fourth trance, the mind gets calm and calm, less dense. Then the mind experiences an emptiness, space. Is translated, the trance is called Akasananchayatana. Akasananchayatana is translated into English as infinite space. One sees nothing, the mind is empty. How does mind get empty? Because there's no thinking, no thought formations. Thoughts are formed by the memories conserved in the or saved in the brain cells, but they are not getting activated. No thought formation, no formation. That is why it's called formless stage. There's no mental formation. Then the mind is free from all thought formations and experiences infinite space. Then it becomes thinner and thinner again, the mental element. Then there comes the second formless trance called Vijnananchayatana. Infinite consciousness. There's consciousness, there's only consciousness. Nothing one is conscious of. Then comes Akincanyayatana. Akincanyayatana is called Nati Kinchi. There's nothing to be conscious of. There is nothing whatsoever that one can be consciousness of, and that is still. There's nothing. The consciousness also gets thinner and reduced. Then comes the last formless trance called Neva Sanya Na Sanyayatana. There is no sensation, but that means there is no conscious. One cannot say at that stage whether there is consciousness or no consciousness. Consciousness is also made of mental energy. The mental energy becomes reduced and reduced, thinner and thinner, weaker and weaker. That means thinner and thinner. And beyond that, as in the atmosphere, when we reach beyond the atmosphere, there is no air. Free from air. Therefore, after the eighth time in the Buddhist literature, especially in the Moggallana Sangyutta, Reverend Moggallana refers to a trance called Animitta Samadhi. A trance which has no object. Even the consciousness is not the object of the trance. And it is called sometimes Cheta Vimukti, freedom from thoughts. And sometimes it is referred to as Sunyata Samadhi, emptiness. Buddha has referred to this trance as a very valuable, very precious trance, and he has mentioned it in the Chula Sunyata Sutta that he used to be absorbed in the emptiness, the trance of emptiness, very often. And you see, not only he, in this Chula Sunyata, he says, even the previous Buddhas, enlightened ones, silent Buddhas, disciple Buddhas, those who are enlightened, before enlightenment as well as after enlightenment, get often absorbed in the trance of emptiness, Sunyata Samadhi. And in the same discourse, Sunyata Sutta, Buddha says, even the future enlightened ones will get absorbed in this Sunyata Samadhi as often as they can. And in the Mahasunyata Sutta, Buddha advises his disciple Ananda, it is better to leave the crowd and be alone Alone means not lonely, be alone and get absorbed in this trance of emptiness. That means the mind is free of all mental defilement in that stage. But they may lie latent and hidden to come up. It is only after realization of Nirvana or Nibbana, enlightenment, one's mind gets rid of even the latent mental defilements. Thus, I have been trying to explain what happens in Buddhist meditation. The mind becomes cleansed little by little. Cleanse, removal of mental ailment. What are the mental ailments? Mental magnetism that we experience as our likes and dislikes, greed and hatred, desire and repulsion, attraction and repulsion. Those are mental magnetic activities. It is mental magnetism that cause the density of the mental matter. When the mind is free from mental magnetism, the mental matter becomes thinner and thinner and thinner and disappear. It is the process of our mental matter, process of our mind that has come from life to life according to the Buddhist literature. Enlightenment means there is no rebirth in a new life because there is no continuation of the stream of consciousness. That is the thinnest mental matter. Cessation of the consciousness. It is the cessation of the consciousness that happens even temporarily in Buddhist meditation. And it is beyond consciousness where one realizes Nirvana, the ultimate truth, and it is very difficult to explain how one realizes that, but that phenomenon is hidden, latent within us. It is by penetrating our own mind through Buddhist meditation that we can reach that sublime state of enlightenment. And we cannot say when it is going to happen, but definitely it is going to happen someday or the other, because that is also the nature of our nature. It is also a natural process. As we become mature in wisdom, from life to life, ultimately we can escape from this continuation of birth and rebirth according to Buddhist literature. But at this stage, we are living and we enjoy living, although there are pains, there are pleasures too, and there is no point in committing suicide thinking that there is a lot of pain in our life, the decay, sickness and death. At the moment, our wisdom, instinctive wisdom says we have to enjoy our life. To enjoy our life, we have to be free from tension. We must have a relaxed mind. We must be free from stress. Therefore, at this stage, the Buddhist meditation becomes useful to bring in tranquility, peace and calmness into our mind so that we can enjoy our life. And enjoying life is not a foolish act but a wise act, and that is called by Buddha as Ati-sukha. Whatever pleasures we have, we should enjoy. Occasion like clouds pass away. Opportunities never come twice. Therefore, when we are healthy, when we are active, lead an active life, being helpful to and being benevolent to others as well as to oneself. How to become benevolent to others and ourselves? By freeing from mental defilements called hatred, jealousy, envy, fear, tension, stress, etc. Therefore, Buddhist meditation is meant for leading a blissful life of bliss. And ultimately, we will be able to reach the supreme bliss called Nirvana when we are mature in wisdom through experience.